feels like if I don't do it, if I don't take care of myself, who will? You see? So it makes a lot of sense when we see gun violence and things like that. You know, it's sad, but for me, it makes a lot of sense. Because if that child feels like it's me against the world, and they feel threatened, then they're gonna do what they need to protect themselves. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But all is not lost. Keep my time. All is not lost because there is a remedy. Because the Creator, and I believe the Creator of all things, had a plan. So that during the development of the brain, so the brain, think of it like wet concrete. The brain is like wet concrete, so things that, the brain is very pliable during those years. Up until your 20s, your brain does not fully develop until your mid-20s. So you go from 0 up to 20 until your brain really sets in, right? And you have an array of experiences. Some of these tasks you accomplished and some of you did not, but it's all lost. All is not lost because God has provided a plan so that even if you didn't get what you needed in your childhood, there is a remedy. And the remedy is in the form of the thing that may have caused the problem. So the thing that the lack showed up in that first relationship, the relationship with the primary caregiver, right? So the child did not get what it needed with the primary caregivers, mother, just the mother or the mother and father or whoever was there. So God has provided that even if you didn't get what you needed from that first relationship, that next relationship that you have, once you turn into your 20s, what normally happens? Well, usually before that now. But what happens once they're in their 20s, what normally happens?
Dating and marriage.
Exactly. People date. You may go to high school, you may never work. There's a lot of things in high school you never use. But most of the time, you get in a relationship of one form or another. And that's everybody. It doesn't matter the mental capacity of the person. 9 times out of 10, you are gonna end up in some type of relationship. And that then is the tool that God has given us to finish the unfinished business of childhood. So I get a lot of clients come to my office and they're like, my parents were bad and I wanna tell, I wanna get them straight and, I want them to come to terms with how bad of a parent they were. But the reality is that phase is over. They did the best they could with what they had. If they had more to give you, they probably would have. But they probably gave you what they were given.
Right.
So the reality is not to go back to that relationship. The reality is to thank them for the best they could give you. But that business is supposed to be finished in your relationships. So what happens is, and I'll end here, but what happens is then you typically will meet someone who will mirror the best and the worst traits of your parents. It's gonna be a hard pill to swallow. Because when I was introduced to the idea, I felt like my parents, they did a pretty good job. I was very grateful. I had great parents. And sometimes it's hard for us to see, the challenges in our parents. Sometimes it's easier than others. But really, when I was introduced to the concept and really looked at it, there were some challenges of my parents that, because I was in that survival, you're in that survival part of your brain. You don't have any control of anything, you just learn how to adapt. Well, adulthood is the stage where you can go beyond just adapting and you can go from surviving to thriving.
Right.
And I'll end it there.
Yes.